I'm Katrina, this is Tare, and today we're talking about quite a few things. We are talking about first and last frost dates, chill hours, and your USDA plant hardiness zone. This is from the Heirloom Expo this year, 2024. A bunch of people discovered their hardiness zones. We wrote it all down, saw where people are from. It was really fun. My phone, I was typing in people's address or people's zip codes so much, my phone started returning only information for where I was actually at. I think my phone thought it was too smart and thought maybe I didn't know where I was. So I actually had to have people do it on their own. So let's talk first about your first and last frost dates. First and last frost dates are really important for your gardening, for your seed sowing. And right now, let's talk about the first frost date because we're in the fall, and your first frost date is going to be the first date. It's an average date. It could be sooner, it could be later. But really, when you look it up on the internet, it is the first date you can reasonably assume there will be frost. Now, I would say give it a week or two earlier to keep your eye out on the weather, and then also later. So those dates can be found by typing in your zip code and first and last frost date. Sometimes you have to go into what city you're in. It may be a little bit different for your microclimate, so kind of use that as an average kind of guesstimate and go on from there. If you live in an area with not very many hills or anything like that, you can pretty well guess that that's going to be it. If you live in an area that has valleys and hills and streams and, elevational changes, you may have a couple different first frost dates on your property or within a community. So that's something important to keep in mind. First frost dates, if you look on the back of a seed packet, like for a brassica or for a radish, brassicas are broccoli and cabbage and that kind of thing. You can see whether to sow it before or after your first frost date. And so that is what you need to know that for. The results that come up are going to tell you your last frost date as well. Last frost dates are going to be when you plant your seeds, either before or after that. Now, this becomes really important for those who are planting from seed tomatoes and peppers. Things like tomatoes and peppers, there's some other ones, but those are the major ones. You plant 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. So by the time you have reached your last frost date and you're going, oh yeah, hey, this is my last frost date. What was I supposed to do? No, put it on your calendar now. Put it on your calendar now. Look at the back of your seed packets you have. Is it 6 weeks? Is it 8 weeks? And you plant those inside. You plant those indoors on heat mats, and you will get a better harvest because you're going to have extended period of time that the plant is growing. And so that's really important in the spring. So also in the spring, if you do after your first frost date, if you're planting in the ground, there's some seeds that germinate when the ground reaches like above 60 degrees or either with soil surface, not the air temperature. So there's some important things with that. Again, if you have seed packets, look on the back and follow those directions, and you will know your first and last frost dates by looking at your zip code online. All right, so next let's talk your plant hardiness zone. The USDA has a plant hardiness zone, and this is a map, I'll zoom in, of the plant hardiness zone. This is the United States. There are 2 zone types that are out there. One is the USDA plant hardiness zone. The other is the sunset zones, and that's from like the Western Garden books, and Sunset has that. And they have many more zones. I do not know if they've been updated, and that's not typically what is referenced when you look at a tag on a plant in a nursery, typically that's referencing the USDA system. So if you see something that's like 25 or something like that, that is the sunset method or index. And what we're talking about is the USDA. So USDA, they actually updated their hardiness zones last year. In 2023, those were updated. My understanding is it's a 10-year cycle, and the light just came out. Oh, well. It's a 10-year cycle, and it's averaged over that time. And that average is updated every 10 years. Sorry about the light. When you have a plant hardiness zone, it has nothing to do with the length of the season. If you want the length of the season, you know your last frost date and your first frost date, find out how many are in between those in the summertime, and that is your that's the number of planting days you have, growing days you have. Plant hardiness zones don't have anything to do with that. They don't have anything to do with how hot it gets. They have to do with the coldest cold you can expect to have. Now, just like the first and last frost dates, you are going to use this information wisely and informed. So that is an average over the last 10 years. Our climate has been heating up, and I mean, a lot of people's zones have changed, so that's reflected in the new map. So, and as that heats up, it may be heating up faster. Some areas may be actually being colder. Not that many in the United States, but there's got to be some. When you have this, it is telling you how cold to expect for your plants. So, for example, I'm in zone 8B. This map just has 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have the A's and B's on here, but zone 8 is 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit is the lowest low I can expect. Now, 8B is the warmer side. So there's A's and B's. A's are the cooler side and B's is the warmer side. So I would say probably between 15 and 20 is what I should expect. And that's what the neighbors have told me is true here. So that's what I should expect. That's what I should plan for. Those are the types of plants I should plan for. Now, all you have to do is put in your zip code and USDA planting zones. You don't even have to put USDA. If you put in your zip code and planting zones into the internet, you will get something. And that something may mean, it might come up with the answer right away, or it might come up with lots of different answers and then have another map you have to click on. If you click on that map, it will then, you'll be able to toggle on and off the different zones in that region, in that zip code, and you'll be able to find where you are in the zip code. And then, okay, when you toggle on and off, okay, that's the one that it is. So if you are in an area that is a mosaic of colors on the map, you may be in any of those. Those types of areas, like, for example, areas that are hilly, areas that have, a valley and a hilltop, you're going to potentially have different zones along that slope. Or even if you are closer to water or away from water, you can actually have little microzones on your own property. For example, closer to a house typically stays warmer than out in the open. So that's something you can use to your advantage. If you know you're having a plant that's really, it's on the edge and maybe you shouldn't plant it, but you're going to try and protect it, plant it closer to your house, plant it, if it's a more shade tolerant thing, plant it underneath another tree, give it some sort of protection, and you'll get through. So something else to understand with this is there's a lot of plants out there, there's a lot of trees out there, specifically fruit trees, that when they were planted, it was a long time ago and they had a different climate. So it could have been warmer, it could have been cooler. So knowing that grows there is really good because you're like, okay, this grows. If I can get it through infancy, it will grow for me. And that is the key. Looking at the map, coming up with the number, looking on the plant tag and saying, oh, look, it grows here, does not mean it will not be killed by cold. What that means is that plant can grow there. And a lot of plants, specifically things like avocados and citrus, if you don't take care of that plant when it's a baby, it can die pretty quickly. And so you want to make sure you have the right soil for these plants. You know, if it's free draining soil, like for avocados, or, you know, different types of soil, or, and you take care of it. So in the wintertime, if you have a burst of cold, you know, throw a sheet over it, throw some Christmas lights on it. If you're using Christmas lights, don't use the LED kind, use the little bulbs that are not LED. What those do is they actually circulate the air just enough. They put off just enough heat to circulate the air above those bulbs to prevent frost from landing on the plant. Now, that's not going to work if you like flat out freeze. That's not going to save anything. It can help, but it's not going to do it. So protect those plants maybe the first 2 or 3 years, see how they look, and your plants will do better then. You get them through infancy, through their toddler years, and then like, okay, you're a teenager, you go out and thrive. So that is a really good thing. Now we're going to go through here and from the Heirloom Expo, see where people were from, what their zones were, and then we'll come back and do a conversation on chill hours, because we're just getting it all done right now. So we had Ventura has an A and B, and so it's 10A and 10B. Ventura depends where you are. Again, this is one of the things you look on the map and you might just be in between. So you plan for the cooler one and hope for the warmer one usually. We had zone 5 in Utah, Costa Mesa, 10-6, 10A at Camarillo, 7B, Sacramento. Santa Barbara was between 9 and 10. Some people already knew their zones, so they put it on here too. 7A, Santa Rosa. A lot of people didn't know it changed last year, and their zones did change. So that was really interesting to see people when they did that. And we have another 10A from Camarillo, 9A Redwoods, 10A 9A Redlands and 10A Redlands. So I think that was on the edge. 10A Ventura, 10AB Oxnard, 8-9 Oxnard, so that's 2 different Oxnards, and they had 2 different zones, and that's what I'm talking about. If you have to go into those little maps and see where you are within the zip code, and their maps have gotten a lot better than they were in the past. Palo Verde, 10AB, 9B for SP/Upper Ojai. 9B Gilroy is where I came from, and now I'm in Douglas County, Oregon, to 8B, so I went a zone down. 8A Rockville, Utah, so 2nd Utah. San Luis Obispo, 9B. 9B Brentwood. 9B Suisun City, California. 9 to 10, they didn't put where they were from. 9A Big Oak Valley. 9 Fillmore. 10B Culver City, 9 Bakersfield, 9A Jonathan. I don't know if Jonathan's name or place. If you are the person who wrote that, let us know. 9 Fresno County, 10AB is Moore Park, 7B Jackson, Tennessee. Someone was there from Tennessee. Lancaster, California, 9A. 7B, 8A Mount Shasta. Tehachapi is 8B. Phoenix, Arizona. 9A to 10B was the range they were given for their place, and they couldn't find the map, so I told them they got to find it later. Satakoy? I don't know where that is. 10A. Mono had 10A, and then a kid wrote her name because it's a marker and a piece of paper. That's okay. We're encouraging gardening. Laguna Nigel. 10B. Reno has 7A, 7B. Cedar Pines Park, 8B. Lundala? Something B. I can't really read it. 10B maybe? Moss Beach, 9B. Bakersfield, 9. 10A. Burlingame, Woodland Hills, California, 10B, 10A, and B, Newberry Park, Sedona, another person from Arizona, 8A to 9A. 9 in Alabama, someone from Alabama. Stratford, Oklahoma has 7.5. 7.5, that's so funny. It's probably 7B to 8. Weldon, 8A. Oh, and West Hills is also 10B. Vancouver, Washington, 8A. 10A, Upland, California. Another little kid's name. Grass Valley, 9A. Arroyo Grande, 9B. Placerville, 9B. They'd say hi neighbor to Grass Valley. 10B, Fountain Valley. Carlsbad, 10AB. 9B, Long Beach. 10A, Gravitola. I think we got them all. So there was a lot of 9s and 10s in there, some 7s, all the way down to 5 in Utah. And to be expected, this event took place in California, therefore most of the attendees were from California. However, there's people from all over the place. I was there from Oregon. There was even a family from Missouri, and I was like, you guys know they're from Missouri, right? Because Baker Creek puts it on and they're in Missouri. And they go, oh yeah, we know. I'm like, because how would they feel if they're like, oh my gosh, we went all the way out to California to see this Baker Creek thing, and Baker Creek does a lot in Missouri on their own property. So anyway, they knew. They just go to all the events because it's that awesome. So that is USDA planting zones. And again, that is the hardiness. That's the hardiness zones. So last thing on the list is chill hours. So chill hours, if you are in a warmer area, you need to pay more attention to chill hours. Chill hours is for fruiting shrubs and trees. Some of them, such as cherries and apples, really, really need cold. And they don't need it to be that cold. They just need a certain number of hours of cold. Now, what is a chill hour? A chill hour is the number of hours in a winter season, 45 degrees or below. So if it's below 45 degrees, that's what it is. It doesn't have to be numbers in a row. It's just numbers in a winter season below 45 degrees. Now, this is important because if you have a tree, let's say you have a cherry tree, you're like, oh, I really want Rainier cherries. Now, Rainier talks about Washington, right? Washington, Oregon, very good for cherries. And I want to grow it in, Texas, in the hot desert of Texas or something, or maybe New Mexico. And I actually don't know how many chill hours it needs, so this is just an example. But if you don't have enough chill hours for that tree, you may grow the most wonderfully healthy, beautiful Rainier cherry tree that never gives you fruit. If you want fruit from these plants, you need to pick appropriate varieties. So there are cherries that will fruit in warmer climates. You just have to look for them. So you can look up your chill hours, same way you did everything else. Look up your zip code or your town online and just put chill hours. And it will give you usually a range. Even better, if you want really, really good information, find an orchardist. Find someone who actually keeps track of their stuff in their area for their orchard, because that is going to give you a whole better idea of what the real chill hours are if they are near you. So that is really, really important if you want fruit and you live in a warmer area. If you live in a colder area, you can pretty much assume you're going to have enough chill hours for anything. But look it up. So that is the last one. So we talked about first and last frost dates. We talked about USDA hardiness zones. And we talked about chill hours. So all three of those things are really important for you as a gardener, for you as a orchardist, for you as a person who grows things to know. And if you want to track that on your own, you can track that on your own. And that is a great idea to do, to know when when the things that apply to you happen. So thank you so much for watching this and for gardening and growing things and learning. So if you would like to join the channel, we have a Cook With Me Live that we do every month. We can join the channel. The information is down in the description. Subscribe to the channel. There's going to be more gardening stuff. There's going to be animal stuff. There's going to be homesteading stuff. There's going to be all sorts of stuff. Well, there already is all sorts of stuff. And that is a great amount of information and community. We always have live chat on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, if you like the video, like it, share this information with other people, with other gardeners, so they know what to expect, especially first-time gardeners. That's the reason why I did a board like this at the Heirloom Expo, is because when I went last year, I was amazed at how many first-time gardeners there were. And with the Heirloom Expo being in a new location, that makes sense. They hadn't reached a whole lot of gardeners or potential gardeners, people who wanted to do things that really didn't know where to start. And so this year I went back to the basics, and it was appreciated. People talked a lot about things, and it was awesome. So, if you're wondering what those things are behind my head, those are paint samples. It looks like I'm wearing a crown of some sort. Anyway, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some information you can pass on to your fellow gardeners. And I will see you next time. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.